Alright, YouTube, we're back. She's all hooked up. Everything but the battery. Alright, YouTube, this is what we're doing. Everything's good. Everything's back together. Everything's cool. It's got all the fluids in it. It's still low on coolant. I only had 1.5 gallons of that weird pink Toyota shit, so that's all I put in there. It's full of oil. I don't see anything running out the bottom, so that's a win already. We're ready to fire this guy up, and I'm kind of nervous about it. I always am. I've done this 100 times. I still get nervous. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the car and I'm just going to floor it. I'm going to try to put it into clear flood mode so it won't start. It just cranks and cranks and cranks and cranks. I want a little oil pressure behind that chain tensioner before it pops off and starts running. So you're going to see it cranking a lot, but that's planned. Well, that absolutely did not work, and it was the opposite of what I wanted. But it didn't blow up. So, wow. It's not loud either. I didn't buy any. Oh shit, let me open up this garage door. Still a lot of idiot lights on the dash, but no oil. No oil pressure light, so that's good. What was I saying? I don't remember. It sounds a lot better. It sounds a whole lot better. I put what it called for in it, 530 full synthetic. We got a maintenance required light on. I wonder what that's about. I very could easily forgot to plug something in. I'm going to let it run for a while. Keep an eye on the temperature because I know it's low on coolant. I got new brakes to put on it because all 4 caliper pins are seized and they're all just messed up. Put brakes on it and I'm going to take this thing out for a rip probably tomorrow. Don't worry, I'll bring you with me. Alright, she's back on all 4s. I got everything plugged back in, hooked back up. Let's take this thing for a rip. It's been about a week since I started it in the last video. If there's going to be any timing chain rattle again, we'll hear it this time. Oh, did you hear that? Nothing. Smooth. That's what I love. I bet that ABS light, the all-wheel drive light, and the VSC, I don't know what that is. I think that's traction control. I think that's all related somehow. I hope it's just a bad wheel speed sensor. Ooh. God damn, these rear brakes sound like shit. They're probably just rusty. Let's try not to hit the chariot of champions there. What the fuck is that beeping? I'm somewhat impressed, YouTube. This wheel is a lot straighter than I thought it would be. Yeah, she drives good. 60 miles an hour. It doesn't really pull one way or the other. I'm pleased. I'm going to drive this turd around and I'll get back to you. Alright, I made it home, YouTube. As soon as I flipped that camera off, the alternator light kicked on. So I just turned around and whipped a Yui in the street. And on the way home, the brake light kicked on, the dash lights were turning on and off and shit. It was doing all kinds of nutty shit. So I don't know if there's anything wrong with it. It just might be low voltage. Hopefully I just forgot to plug something in. And the steering is real tight. It feels like a manual rack, which it does have, but I don't know if it's got electric power steering in it up in the column or what. I gotta look. Maybe that doesn't work, or it's just supposed to feel that way. I don't know. What's going on, YouTube? Fuzzy Wuzzy back playing with my stupid Toyota. Hey, I've been doing stuff. Had to take shit back apart because of the alternator light. What I think it is I think it's the pulley on the alternator. It's got one of those stupid clutches in it. I started off by checking all the fuses. Well, let me go back. When I was editing the first video, I seen that the engine light was not on when I started. I thought it might have been since I never actually drove this car because the water pump was bad and it didn't have any antifreeze. But I didn't think it was on. And editing the first video, I seen it wasn't on. So I figured it had to be me. Something I missed, something. Because it could have gone bad when I pulled the engine out. But it's not likely. What are the odds it goes bad at the same time? Not very good. So I thought it had to be something else. So what I did is I checked all the cables. I got this Matco battery load tester. I think I got that at a pawn shop in Detroit. I don't remember what I paid for it. But you mess around with the lowriders, you're going to have to get one of those with all the batteries and shit. So what I did is I load tested the battery. That was good. The whole system never dropped below 10.5 volts. So then I put the positive on the alternator stud and the negative on the battery, load testing the cable. That was cool. Then I put the positive on the battery, negative here on the valve cover, load tested it again, testing the ground cable. That was good. So I knew my cables were good. And I just wasn't getting shit. With the multimeter, when this thing was running, it was only at 12 volts. It wasn't getting shit. So, what I determined it was this pulley. It uses some stupid-ass clutch thing here, some stupid Toyota bullshit. Poking around on the old internet, a battery light being on in these things is quite common. But you know how forums are? People say, hey, I got a problem. People suggest shit, and then you never hear from them again. You don't know if it solved it or not. So that wasn't much help. And then I started looking into these pulleys, because I noticed this wasn't a regular pulley. It's some kind of clutch pulley. So I started looking into that and how to test them. And sure enough, this guy slips. I'll show you. I'm just going to stick the screwdriver here in the old fan blade. And this thing is supposed to turn one way, and it does. But it's not supposed to turn this way. Now, I can turn it, but it's not easy. So that tells me there's clutch slippage and this thing wasn't turning at full speed. At least that's my assumption. Might not be the problem, but it's a problem. I would like to get a new alternator because this thing is probably the original. Car's got around 150K on it. But these bitches are expensive. And just that clutch pulley by itself is $40. I'm going to go to the junkyard because they got a Toyota Avalon, not a RAV4. I guess RAV4, man, they're hard to find in a junkyard. You just don't see them around here. I don't know if people really love these things or what. Beats the shit out of me. There's a Toyota Avalon with the same engine, the 3.5. According to the part numbers, how I get my part numbers is I go to Rock Auto and I'll look up a RAV4 like this, an '07 RAV4. Write down the part number for the alternator and the pulley because you can buy them separate. Then I went over to the Toyota Avalon, same year, looked up, cross-referenced the part numbers. It said the alternator didn't have the same part number, so that means it's different. But the pulley had the same part number. So that means the pulley's the same. So that's what I'm going to go grab. Let's see, what else did I do? I got the ABS fixed, I think. It had the ABS light on, the all-wheel drive light on, some other bullshit, some VSC. I pulled the codes on the ABS. ABS said left front wheel speed sensor. So I was checking it out, and right here at the end, I don't know if y'all could see that, but it's got some damage to it. I just kind of winged a sensor at it because it was $6. I found one of these for $6 on Amazon Warehouse. So I put it in the car, reset the ABS codes, and the all-wheel drive light is still on, and all the other lights are off. But I don't know if it fixed it because I can't drive it because I'm dealing with this bullshit. Well, I'm going to gather up my tools. This takes a special tool. It's rentable, so I'm going to swing by an auto parts store, rent it, and let's head to the junkyard. See, hopefully that Avalon has alternator. Oh boy, YouTube. I'm in this thing deep now. Ah, shit. So, the alternator here, I popped the cap off the center of it, the plastic cap, and it didn't have what I seen on the old internets, where you need a special tool with the splines and all that shit. Because there ain't no splines in there. There was a nut, just like every other pulley. So I went to take the nut out, and it rounded off. It just straight up obliterated, rounded off. So, what I did was I tried welding a nut to it, or I took my cheap Chinese sockets, I stuck it on there, tried welding down the middle. That didn't work. So I got the old Milwaukee there with some good old carbide burrs. Ground that shit all the way down. There ain't much left. I don't know how much deeper I gotta go. I mean, shit, but it still ain't coming off. I don't know what I'm gonna do. This pried off. I'm gonna take my bearing splitter, stick it under here, and just try to pull it off. Tell you what, I'm not doing this shit at the junkyard. I might just buy one. Because if I get that alternator off and it strips the nut at the junkyard, then I just wasted my time. I don't know. I'm going to keep messing with this. Well, YouTube, you know what that is? That's me buying an alternator. I broke it. I never did get this piece of shit off either. I can see a ring inside there forming, like the shaft pulling away. I was close, but I broke it, so I'm going to go buy one. A used alternator for this thing is rather expensive. They're cheap at the pick-apart, but there's not one of these vehicles in the pick-apart for some reason. They must be popular. I don't know. So I'm going to go to Amazon. I'm going to go somewhere and buy the cheapest one I could find, naturally. Well, it's been a week, YouTubes. I got this here alternator. Came with a fancy clutch on it. I stuck some shit in there, tried to turn it. This one works properly. This was the cheapest one I could find. It's rebuilt, 1-year warranty off eBay for $100. I'm not that pleased with it, to be honest with you. When you turn it, there's a tight spot. You probably can't hear it, but I can hear it rubbing in there a little bit. I'm sure it'll be fine. Oh, one of these bolts doesn't do anything. Because I was messing with it, checking it over. And one of these bolts are stripped out that goes in there. They put it in there just, I don't know. But I'll chuck it in there, see what it does. Because I got to get this guy off my lift because I got to do some other shit. Well, through the magic of editing, there she is. She's down in there. Really isn't that bad changing it. Well, you know, once you drop the engine out, you get to know the car pretty well. So, it didn't take me all that long to get it back together. Let's fire this turd up. Come on, no timing rattle, no timing rattle, no timing rattle, go. Hey, look at that. No alternator light. That's good. That stupid all-wheel drive light is on, and no timing rattle. Oh, come on. Fucking thing's dead. Oy. There you go. 14.3. That's it. I don't know if that showed up or not, but I had 14.3 volts. So we're good. All good in the hood. I'm going to let it warm up. It hasn't ran in a while. So I think next thing I'm going to do is I still got the maintenance required light on, the all-wheel drive light, and the airbag light. I'm going to put the wheels back on it, take it for a rip, see if the ABS light comes back on after changing that sensor. And then I'll do some digging around on that all-wheel drive light and the maintenance light. Take care of those next. Okay, YouTube, got her put back together. Let's boogie. Turn some heat on first. It's cold out here. Put a cabin air filter in here too. Last time I was in here, the airflow wasn't that great. And yeah, it was pretty dirty. Beep. Oh, ABS lights on. Son of a diddly. I was afraid of that. And they're all back on. Son of a diddly. What is that beeping? Is it gonna blow up? What the fuck? Well, that's what I was afraid of. Let me spin it back around and run the codes again. Hey YouTube, what's going on? I don't know where I left off. It's probably been a couple weeks since I touched this car. But I got the maintenance required light. I got that turned off. That was easy. I didn't read the manual. I just watched the YouTube video how to do it. I'll put that in the description. Right now I'm back playing with the ABS. I wanted to just probe the sensor with a voltmeter, or set on ohms and read the resistance. I couldn't find the specs anywhere on Google. So I'll do what I can until I find them. And I'm going to try to clean off the tone ring. So I popped the ball joint off, took the axle out. It was pretty quick. And right up in here, on the back side of the wheel bearing, you can see, I don't know if you can see, some of the ridges up in there. That is what the sensor sees. So if I stick the sensor in there, let me move this light. Fuck, that's in the way too. So right back here on the back side of the wheel bearing is where the tone ring is. You can see some of the grooves. Right, I could see them. I don't know if you could see them, but they're there. And this thing, it's got a layer of rust and shit on it. I can see it when I scrape it off. Yeah, let me stick the sensor in there so you can see the tip of it poking through where it would read that as it's going round and round. So I'm going to do a real good job with the brush, clean all the debris off that shit, put it back together. Hopefully that's it until I can get some specs so I can test out the wiring. Maybe I don't need to. Hopefully that's it. And this is my first time working in here with a heater. I've never had a heater in a garage before. And a lesson learned, if you got any kitty litter on the floor from spills, sweep that shit up. Because when it gets wet, now I'm just walking around in mud and shit. This is quite unpleasant what I got going on here.